Okay, I think we're going to go ahead and get started. I want to welcome each and every one of you. Thank you for taking the time to jump on this morning. To our American friends, Bună dimineața. It's morning time for almost all of you. To our Romanian friends, Bună după amiază. Good afternoon. It's almost evening time for them. It's a little after 7 o'clock, but still nice and bright and sunny there. I am John. I think most of you know me. There may be a few who don't know me. You may have been invited through one of our board members. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what we're going to do on this call, and then I'm going to introduce a few people. This is a really unique opportunity for us to take you. Many of you are already partners and supporters with us in this ministry in Romania, and this is an opportunity to take you to Romania for a brief little half-hour, 45-minute tour of a clinic that many of you have actually helped build. Many of you helped create this and helped make it come into being. And so what an opportunity for you to see it firsthand with your own eyes. And what we want to do is introduce a little bit of the team to you this morning, let you meet some of the doctors, some of the staff, some of the board members. And then we want to take you on a physical tour starting outside. We're going to come in the front door, go through the clinic space, visit the admin space, and then we're going to finish back in the education room, which is the room that they're currently sitting in, and we'll have some question and answer time. And we're going to allow some of the staff to tell you a little bit more detail about what they do in the ministry. Just a reminder, you can ask questions, but we ask that you do that via the chat function. That way, there's no talking over the presentation, and we'll take those questions at the end one by one. I will feed them to the Romanian team there. I want to start by introducing our board members. We have most of our HealthBridge Global board members on the phone call here. We have Jason and Aaron Bono, who are up in Washington State. I'm so glad they're on. We have Kimberly Epperson, who is on. I think she's got a baby wrapped around her. She's on the call. Of course, myself and my wife, Rebecca, who I think is jumping on here in a minute on her own computer. And I think we have one board member who is currently not on the call, and that's Eric Hansen. He may be joining here shortly. So that's our HealthBridge Global Board. And then many of you on the American side of this phone call have met Dr. David. Some of you have known him for many, many years. Some of you have never met him. But I want to introduce Dr. David Ile to you, the founder and current president of Clinica Pro Vita. So, David, if you could just give a brief greeting to everybody on the call.
Yeah, hello everybody. I'm happy to have all of you here by technology. I'm Dr. David Ile from Clinica Pro Vita. And today I'm proud in God's grace to show you the clinic that we are having, and which, as Jonathan said, is part of your own contribution. So you can see with your own eyes where your money went. And it's a great joy for me. So I'm going to introduce some of my staff and ask them to tell who they are and for how long they have been working with us. First of all, I want to introduce Mihaela Butuza.
Hi, my name is Mihaela. I work with Clinica Pro Vita for about 20 years. I'm Dr. Ile's assistant, and I mainly work in administration of the medical business and of the foundation, Clinica Pro Vita Foundation.
Okay, and then Naomi Terek.
Hello everyone, thank you for joining in. My role here is as program director, and my main responsibility is to coordinate our activities, which about whom and about what you'll learn later on. And I've been here for 7 years.
And then Dorina Tertemuș.
Eu sunt Dorina Tartamuș,
My name is Dorina Tartamuș.
lucrez ca și consilier
I
la
work,
Clinica Provita
I work as a counselor here at Clinica Provita,
din anul 2013.
and I have been working here from 2013.
Thank you. And now I'm going to introduce some of the board members. And there is Costel Dolean.
Hi everyone, I'm Costel Dolean și cred că vă place să ascultați puțină limbă română, nu doar engleză.
And I think you might enjoy to listen to the Romanian language of it.
Sunt implicat în activitățile Clinicii Provita de puțină vreme, în board.
I have been part of the board of Clinica Provita for not for a very long time.
Însă am avut o colaborare cu Clinica Provita în diversele activități în oraș.
But before that, I was involved in various activities and projects in our city with Clinica Provita.
De 10 ani, în activitățile pe care le-am făcut împreună cu membrii Fundației Provita, în orașul nostru, toate activitățile publice legate de Marșul pentru Viață, 40 de zile pentru viață și alte activități.
So we have a collaboration for about 10 years that we have collaborated together in our city to promote life, in March for Life, 40 Days for Life, and other various activities alike.
Sunt bucuros să fiu împreună cu voi în seara asta sau în dimineața asta la voi.
And I'm really happy to be with you this afternoon or this morning for those who are just waking up probably.
Thank you.
And now I'm going to introduce Carmen Asavoe, another board member.
Hello. Hello, everyone. It is an honor and a joy to be here, and I'm happy to meet the American team and also to see some familiar faces. Hello, Wolfgang Vera, and hello, Jerry Wells. It's awesome to see you. I'm a board member for, I don't know, 3 years maybe, I don't know, 2-3 years, something like that. And I was also involved in the beginning years of Provita in Cluj when I was a student, mainly in the educational activities as a volunteer going in schools. Now I'm just helping very little as a board member. Hello, everyone.
Thank you, Carmen. And now I'm going to introduce Ioana Vereș.
Bună, eu sunt consilieră la Clinica Provita și lucrez aici aproximativ de 2 ani.
Hello, I am a counselor here, a volunteer counselor here at Clinica Provita, and I have been part of the team for the last 2 years.
And now here is Daniela Pintican, our obstetric gynecologist, one of them.
The last will be first. I'm a gynecologist at Clinica Provita for 7 years, and I am different because I am pro-life gynecologist. I am honored to be with you.
Thank you, Daniela. This is our team.
Great. Thank you guys so much for doing those introductions. And for those that are watching, I just want to highlight the fact that for everyone here who's represented, there's actually many, many more who it would be impossible to fit them onto one screen. There's more staff, there's more volunteers, there's more board members. So what you're getting here today is just really a sample of all the people that it takes to make Provita work. And there's been so many more over the years, right, that have come and worked and served as board members or staff or volunteers for many years and then have moved on to other things. So what you're going to see today is really the investment of many people, many different kinds of people over many, many years. So in a few minutes, we're going to transition outside and start the tour. But David, I want to ask you one question, if I could, before we do that. David, I want to ask you just to share, maybe, I know there's a lot of reasons why you got involved in both the issue of the sanctity of life and the issue of women's healthcare in Romania. I know there's a lot of motivations for you, but I want you to share maybe just one of those motivations, one reason you're involved in this work, and maybe something related to your mother, how your mother influenced your involvement in this work.
I have many reasons, as Jonathan said. One is I was invited and then I get infected by this terrible pro-life virus, which is worse than coronavirus. And but the deep motivation why I'm here is because of my mother. I'm the seventh child of my family, and when my mother get pregnant with me, she went to the doctor, and the doctor said, you have already 6 children. Why do you need another one? And she very strong, made a very strong affirmation. She said, all the children that God gave me, they will be born. So I was born, and I feel so precious in my mom's eyes, and all of those years that I'm serving pro-life cause, I feel so so motivated and so thankful to my mom that gave me life, and I want to give life to every child in this world because I think everyone is a gift from the Lord, and that's why.
Thanks, David. Thank you for sharing that. One more thing I want to do before we start the tour is, Naomi, I'm wondering if you could give just a 2-minute summary. I know that's fast. I know we're going to talk more about it at the end, but like a 2-minute summary of the mission of Pro Vita.
So our mission is to share the gospel of Jesus Christ and to promote and protect the human life. Our vision is for a Romanian society that embraces God's biblical perspective over sexuality, that makes abortion unthinkable and is healed by the trauma generated by the thousands and millions of abortions taking place in this country. We vision a Romanian society that is born again, where human life is valued, regardless of the stage that human value is at. And we do that by various activities, but our main activities are our pre-counseling program, our post-abortion counseling program. We offer educational programs in high schools. We also have an educational seminars for parents, if the parents want to teach their own children about healthy and biblical sexuality. And we also have a group for a support group, I would say, for young mothers or single mothers. But any opportunity we have to get involved in promoting life, we try to take as much as possible and to take advantage of it.
Great, thank you. And I would just add to that Pro Vita is also what I would call a full-service women's healthcare clinic, serving women from all walks of society in Romania, all socioeconomic levels, and all sorts of issues, any issue that a woman would have, even issues that we may not associate normally with gynecology, like dermatology. They're really a resource, a healthcare resource for all women in their community. And one of the most amazing things about what Pro Vita has been able to do is that they've been able to shed the stereotype that they are only an anti-abortion organization, okay? And that's a very critical distinction, because if all that we're known for is what we're against, we're going to have a very difficult time reaching society. And so Pro Vita, by being for women and by advocating for women's health care, they actually have been pro women's health care while at the same time upholding an ethic of the sanctity of life. And that is a balance that is very difficult to strike in such a controversial issue like abortion. And they have done a fantastic job by serving women in their community with high quality health care while also addressing the issue of abortion. And we'll talk a little bit later about what abortion looks like in Romania. But let's transition now, if we could. David and Naomi, if you guys want to go outside to start the tour, you're going downstairs and outside. I'm going to just kind of give everybody a picture of how we're connected as organizations. Many of you know that my wife and I, Becca, we lived in Romania for just over 5 years. And while there, we got connected with Provita. We believe in what they do. We just had such a missional and relational connection to them. And when we came home, we started an organization called HealthBridge Global to help continue supporting the work and the vision that they have. So our U.S. organization, is called Clinica Provita, and we're partnering together to help them fulfill the vision God's given them. So here we are outside. I'm going to hand it back over to them. Sounds like it might be a little windy. Hopefully we're able to hear okay. I think it'll get better once we move inside. So, Naomi, go ahead and take it away.
Okay. As you might probably hear, we are on a very busy street. This is one of a large street, and it's quite busy because we are close to one of the most important shopping malls in Cluj, Iulius Mall, and we also have two universities just here around the corner and some university campuses. So this is quite busy, and I hope you get to hear me as cars are passing by. This is our main entrance, and please come in. Okay, I'm sure now you can hear me better. This is our main entrance. This is the reception area, as you can probably see from it. And I hope, yeah, you get to see it. Okay. What you might not realize is this entrance is very significant for us, because the person who has designed it is our colleague Mihaela, whom you have met. She is the longest employee of Clinica Provita, the first and the longest. And she has a very artistic eye, and obviously she has put it to use here. And when I first arrived here for my interview for my job, I was very surprised by this entrance, because I was expecting something a bit more, I would say, utilitarian. But this is, I think it communicates that we are interested in people. We are not just a medical clinic, but we're here to serve and help others. Okay, come on in. Okay. This, I would say, is the most important room, because this is the counseling room. This is this is the place where all the stories are being heard, where we discuss with the women who share their stories, and this is where prayers are being given for them. For every woman who comes here, we try to pray at the end, regardless of who they are and what their story is. And I'm happy to say most of them, 99%, agree. And for some of them, it might be the first time someone is praying for them. One of my favorite stories I want to share with you happened to Monica, one of our counselors who is not here. She had a young professional couple coming here, and they assumed, they thought that they were expecting a baby. They wanted to have an abortion, but at one point, Monica asked the partner, the baby's father, to come in as well in this room, and she wanted to let them to help them understand that life happens at an instance. You know, the baby is there and it's alive and it's a human being. So an image came to her mind, the image of death, and she asked them,
when does death come over a person? Does it happen in stages or all at once? And obviously they said at once. So she said to them, this is what happens with life. Life just happens at an instant. There's a baby there, a human being. Life doesn't develop in stages. So the man, he was so touched by this explanation that he became the supporter for his baby's life. And in the end, they kept the baby, they married, and now they have a very beautiful baby boy. So God used death to bring about life.
In my opinion, this room is just 2 chairs. This is the person in need, and that's the face of Christ. And this is what I like to see the room, a meeting between a representative of Jesus Christ and a woman in need, in great need. This is how I like to see it.
Okay, this is our hallway and also our waiting room. But now we are going to the OBG room. Come in. So this is the exam room for our OBG doctors. This is where most exams are taking place in ultrasounds. We have a team of 6 doctors, OBG doctors. And one of my most admired doctor colleague, let's say that way, is Dr. Besa, because he has been in the pro-life let's say movement for a very long time as a doctor. He was a young doctor during communist era, and afterwards, when abortions became legal in Romania, and 1 million abortions were performed just in 1990, he refused, even though he was hired at the public hospital, he refused to perform abortions, and he was very mocked by his colleagues because he basically refused to make money out of abortion. But his stance for life is very powerful, and even to this day, he is very pro-life and is promoting life, even though he had to make some tough decisions in order to be able to do that.
Yeah, here is the ultrasound machine that we receive from Focus on the Family. And I think almost every object I can count to belong to someone in their grace to us. So let's move to the next room.
Please come in. So this is the exam room for our dermatologists, and I'm really happy to say that we've improved a lot in offering various medical services for women and for people in general. And dermatology is one of such example, because we are performing not only consultations, but even small procedures and laser treatment. So we want to be professional in how we offer medical services and help as many people as possible. Dr. David, do you want
to? I think it's important for you to understand that this medical activity that we have beside the pro-life activity is the main engine that supports us every day. Without the medical activity, we could not survive. So everything that we see around here is for the purpose of promoting life in the medical field, but on the other side, because of the charge we make to the patients, we can promote the pro-life work in Romania also.
Yes, as we've said, valuing human life at all its stages, from conception till the last day. Come on.
This is the room for the doctors.
This is where they change, their own private place, and we are moving on to another example. Okay, this is the exam room for urology and endocrinology. And I really like the fact that we are able to offer integrated services here. For women, for men, for couples. I think that's so important to have a place where you can get all the help you need. For example, very recently I was at the reception and helping there a bit, and we had a case where a young woman, she thought she was pregnant. So she made an appointment and she went to see one of our OBG doctors. But after the exam, she found out that she was not pregnant, but she had some hormonal problems that were making her have these pregnancy symptoms. And we were immediately able to refer her to one of our doctors, Dr. Burde, who is our endocrinologist, and she was able to get the treatment she needed. So I'm happy that we can offer integrated medical services for men, and I speak here about the urology medical services, but also for the couple. OBG, urology, and endocrinology, to help them together in their needs.
Okay, let's see the other room.
Let's see the other room. A very, very important room. Okay. This room is very dear to us because from the pro-life aspect, this is where our clients get to meet their babies. Dr. David is our doctor who performs these ultrasounds, and they get to hear the baby's heartbeat and they get to see the baby because it is already grown. Some babies are 8 or 9 weeks, then we can actually see them better. A lot of crying has happened here, a lot of hugging, and I remember one story. It was me and Dr. David here. I was the counselor, Dr. David the doctor, and we had a very young couple who were expecting their second child. But we've noticed that we met with many couples, the second, the third, the fourth child is in danger. So the mother kind of wanted to keep the baby. The partner, he didn't want to keep the baby. He was actually thinking of giving up the relationship entirely. And after the counseling time we had with them, we came here and we were able to see the baby, hear his heartbeats, and Dr. David was able to counsel the man. And we had him even, crying and him telling us his worries and his needs, and we were able to pray together as a team for them. And in the end, they decided to keep the baby, and we are still in a relationship with them, obviously, because we offer counseling and support during the pregnancy, but also after the pregnancy, depending on the needs of the couple and on the needs of the women. But we want to be there for them later on as well.
I like to call this room the crying room. And this is why we have so many tissues around so people can cry in peace. Because when they hear the heartbeat, something changed in their mind. I saw so many women when they hear the heartbeat of the baby, everything changed. Everything changed. And I have such a great joy when that change is for life. It's not all the time for life. Most of the time, when they hear the heartbeat of their own baby, they realize the baby is alive, and everything changed. So I like this room. Let's go upstairs now, and maybe take a look
Okay.
at the
I will show you because not many bathrooms look like this, let me tell you this. But this is the bathroom for our patients and our clients. And again, it's Mihaila's design, and she has put it to good use. This is our Alice from Wonderland staircase, and I hope you will be courageous enough to come up. Okay. This is another bathroom for the staff.
This is the sterilizing room for our instruments that is needed.
Because we are very, we want to be very professional and careful with all our instruments, and we do procedures, minor surgical procedures in OBG, urology, and dermatology. And a very important place, but I will let Dr. David tell you about it because it's his office and Mihaila's office.
This is a very simple room, but here the decision of the universe is made.
About certainly our universe.
Of course. And this is my desk, and that's Mihaila's desk, and it's good to have those rooms available.
Okay, come on. This is my favorite room from this part of the building because it's my office and Mrs. Dorina's office, and any other volunteer who comes. We meet here, we pray, we discuss our activities. This is where a lot of activities are thought, discussed, processed, evaluated. So I really enjoy this room. As you see, we have cabinets because we help mothers. We try to help mothers as best as possible with things they need during pregnancy, afterwards, clothes, baby products, and things like that. And we managed to get together a network of Christian women whom we can call upon when we have the various needs. So that it's really good to get other people involved as well in this ministry. So now,
this is the room like a woman's soul, full with everything. So I need more space, I need air, but here everything, there is everything.
Well, it's special. So now we are going to our main room, the room where we start. Yes.
And this is a little office for us when we get hungry.
Yes. This is a room that we use for various meetings, like this one, for activities, for our support groups. This is very much used. A good for all room. So I hope you enjoyed the tour. If you have any questions, please don't forget to send them in to Jonathan, and our team here will try to best as possible to answer them. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
That was fantastic. Thank you so much for such a detailed tour. We have one question so far that's come in. One thing I want to address, maybe a question that some of you had but didn't ask. When we were outside the building, you saw that the building is actually quite tall. A lot of buildings in Cluj-Napoca, the city where Provita is located, are dual use. And so often the bottom floor or two are commercial and the upper floors are residential. And so that is the case there as well. Provita occupies the bottom two floors of the front of that building, and the upper stories are apartments. So I don't know if anyone was wondering, if we were going to tour 7 or 8 stories, but that's why Provita occupies the bottom two. We do have a question from Wolf and Vera Newman. They said, "Great to see you, David and Carmen. Hugs from California. Can you tell us a little bit about the difference between this clinic and a typical Romanian clinic, besides the spiritual aspect? So from a medical perspective or an atmosphere perspective, what's the difference between Clinica Provita and just another maybe government clinic that somebody might go to?"
Da.
Să răspund eu la asta, că eu nu lucrez aici. Dumneavoastră lucrați. atmosferă și cum
You know, I can answer that. I was expecting Carmen to answer because
spun, dar eu nu sunt că nu e fair.
so what is different in here is the fact that every life counts. Every human being, it's a gift from the Lord, and this is how we look at them. Besides that, the main income, actually the whole income that this clinic have, is returned back to promote the cause of life. There is nobody here that owns anything. Everybody owns everything, but there is not such an owner that put money in his pocket at all. So that's very, very different. And the ministry that we have being supported by the medical activity is, in my opinion, the main difference. I don't know if there is another clinic like that, and you guys can tell if I'm right or not. So that's the main difference, the uniqueness of this clinic. It has a purpose. It has a meaning. It has a goal. The larger goal of our activity is to change Romanians' mind about abortion. And we start small. We have a little bit of influence in Cluj, and we hope that with our maternity hospital, we can impact the whole nation at the end.
I would just add here that I received many feedbacks about our doctors because our doctors are really interested in patients' well-being. So I think it's not only for profit, but it is they are doing their best to promote the well-being of the patient. And I've seen it because I've been a patient here as well. I've been a patient in other clinics, even private clinics, but I've seen this difference, and we have patients telling us that they can notice it too. So from a medical perspective, I think the relationship between the patient and the doctor is of good quality. Yeah. Okay, and our Dr. Daniela Pitica, she would also like to say something.
Eu lucrez la alte 3 clinici private.
I also work for other 3 private clinics.
În comparație cu celelalte 2 clinici, pacientele care se prezintă la clinica Provita,
and in comparison with the other 2 clinics that I work for, private clinics that I work for,
și solicită întreruperea unei sarcini,
my patients who contact the other 2 clinics that I work for, but not here at Provita, and they're asking for an abortion.
Medicii de aici încearcă să consilieze pacientele să nu aborteze.
The doctors here, they try to counsel the women not to abort, and this is not happening in the other places I work for.
Alte clinici sunt imediat programate pentru abort fără a fi consiliate.
At the other clinics, they are immediately scheduled for an abortion without being offered counseling.
Yeah, thank you, Daniela, for mentioning that.
Yeah, and I would just add one more thing to that question. Having been a foreigner who lived in Romania and have experienced both Provita's healthcare, the healthcare in the government setting, and the healthcare in other private settings, I would say it's the mentality that makes the biggest difference, because a lot of clinics in Romania have now renovated themselves. They've improved equipment, they've improved the atmosphere. I believe you have a proverb in Romanian, and correct me if it's wrong, același mărie cu altă pălărie, right? Which in English means it's the same Mary, but wearing a different hat. So just because a woman changes her hat, it doesn't change her personality. It doesn't change who she is as a woman. So in a government clinic or in a private clinic that is only focused on profit, or that is operating under an old mentality, you can change the furniture, you can change the equipment, but the compassion and the care and the love and the ability to listen to a patient doesn't happen magically. That has to be very intentional. And so Provita has been very intentional about infusing everything they do with the love of Christ and viewing each woman and each interaction as an opportunity, not just to provide medical care, but to care for the heart and to care for the soul and to care for the entire human being. And that is the most significant difference. And I have actually met Romanian women in California who have been to Provita, don't know that I have a connection to it, and have expressed appreciation for what a different experience they had while they were there. So it's amazing. Your reputation as a clinic for Romanian women actually has extended into the United States, and you may not even know that. So it's really the mentality and the way they care for people that makes the biggest difference. We have another question that came in from someone in the Lubins family. This question is as follows. In the case when a woman decides to not keep her baby, what happens practically and relationally?
Every woman is free to decide good or bad, because God Himself allows people to make their own decision. We have nothing to do if they refuse. The best we can do is to convince them about the value of life, convince them about the consequence, medical consequence, emotional, spiritual consequence. But at the end, the woman is free to decide whatever they want. What happens if they decide to kill the baby? They break our hearts. They break their own hearts, and this is the end. And kill the baby.
David, I know that you spend a lot of time doing post-abortion counseling. Describe why that's so important in Romania. From a statistical perspective, why is it so important to have post-abortion counseling?
Because there are, I don't know exactly the last statistics, but the last statistics I know talks about the fact that almost every woman, as a statistic number, they have an average of 4 abortions in their fertile life. And the impact the abortion have on the woman is so great, even if they don't realize in the whole detail, it will keep them tight, it will keep them connected with the abortion they have done, and this is the way our society works. Especially because in the communist time, women feel that they are pushed to have an abortion. Now it's kind of revenge. We are free now, and now we can abort the baby as we want. It's a very bad connection, pathological connection between the freedom and the freedom to kill their own baby, because they somehow feel that now living in freedom, they can have abortion by request, and it's a very bad connection.
Jonathan, here we have Mrs. Dorina, who is one of our post-abortion counselors, and she can share a few words about the process.
Yeah, that would be great.
Întrebarea este de ce?
Could you repeat again the question, so I can translate her for her?
Yeah, what happens practically and relationally when a woman decides not to keep her child?
Ce se întâmplă în mod practic și relațional? Cum relaționăm noi cu ea? O femeie decide să nu păstreze copilul.
How do you support them and counsel them?
Cum le susținem sau ce facem după? Ce relație avem cu ele sau ce le oferim?
Ce le oferim după? Da. Deci, Desigur că eu prima dată încerc să o consiliez și să-i arăt consecințele abortului. După aceea, decizia este a ei. Dar eu îi spun absolut tot ce s-ar putea întâmpla în urma unui abort.
Mrs. Dorina, she's also doing post-abortion counseling and pre-abortion counseling. So if she meets a woman in the pre-abortion counseling, then she says this: I always try to show her the consequences of abortion, to discuss it and for her to know what it is, but her decision to keep the baby is hers, personally.
După aceea încerc să îi explic ce înseamnă viața, care este valoarea vieții și feminitatea noastră, că noi femeile am fost create ca să dăm viață. Deci viața este foarte importantă.
And also, then I try to discuss with her about the value of human life and the value of us as women and mothers. And we discuss about what maternity is, because to be able to give life, it is very unique and important.
Pot să spun că 80% dintre femeile pe care le-am consiliat nu știau ce înseamnă abortul. Nu știau care sunt consecințele unui abort.
I can say that about 80% of the women who were part in the pre-abortion counseling, they didn't know what abortion is as a procedure, what happens, or what consequences could there be for them practically.
După asta, dacă ea decidea să facă abort,
and in the end, if she decided to go on and have the abortion,
noi o sunam, ceream voie ca să țin legătura cu ea telefonic.
We asked for her permission to keep calling her and see how she is.
Și în urma abortului o chemam la clinică ca să facem în continuare, adică să o consiliez și să îi ofer un suport moral, un suport psihic, emoțional.
So, and we would call her, and then we would ask her to come to the clinic. I was telling her about the counseling that is available for them, because I wanted to give her support emotionally and spiritually.
Și dacă accepta, puteam începe să fac cu ea cursul.
And if she accepts, then I could start with her the post-abortion counseling program.
I think it's important to understand the fact that Provita is again, I've said this before, but it's not a anti-abortion organization. It is a pro-life organization, which means caring for women no matter what, right? Regardless of whether they decide for life or they decide against life, being there to support the woman. And with Romania's abortion statistics, it's extremely important that they're available for the women on the other side, whether they made a decision in that office to have an abortion or they made a decision 20 years prior to have an abortion. And just to be clear, Provita does not provide abortions, but if a woman comes in for counseling and then still decides to go and have an abortion someplace else, Provita is there for them and available to them to help her walk through that healing process. And it is a process, as much of a process as it is when a woman finds out she's pregnant and has to decide what to do. Once a woman has decided to have an abortion, there's a process of healing as well. And so Provita is there for women from beginning to end. Which brings me to a really good transition. We are going to wrap up very quickly here. We want to be sensitive of everyone's time. But Provita has been serving women now for over 20 years, serving women from the moment they discover that they may be pregnant, all the way through their pregnancy care. But there's a handoff that has to happen right now. There's a break in the continuity of care that happens because Provita is unable to deliver babies at the moment. And so the vision that God gave Dr. David and gave their staff and actually gave to me and my wife when we were in Romania was to help see Provita be able to help women from the moment they think they might be pregnant all the way through the delivery of their child, so that there is no break in that relationship, and that they're able to care for women through the entire process, even through the early years of pediatric care for that child. And so that's the vision of Life Medical Center, which is the next phase in our partnership with Clinica Provita. Life Medical Center will be one of the only centers, baby delivery facilities in Romania that is also not performing abortions. It will be one of the few centers in the entire country where fathers are fully invited to participate and engage in the process as much or as little as they want. It'll be one of the few locations where every woman is given privacy, dignity, and respect, and treated as Jesus would treat a pregnant woman. And so it'll be quite a significant shift in the way maternity care and baby delivery is currently done. Many of you know we already have purchased land for Life Medical Center, and we are now in the beginning phases of raising money for the construction phase of Life Medical Center. And that will really be kind of the next fulfillment of our partnership with Provita in Romania. So I want to thank every single one of you for being on the call today. I hope it was a blessing for you to see the clinic that many of you have helped make possible with your own eyes. I want to reiterate the fact, and I think you've seen this now on the call, that what David and his team do, they do with the utmost quality. They don't skimp on making sure that they care for women with quality. And I would add to that it's all done on a very tight budget as well. I would say one of the things that I've grown to appreciate about Dr. David over the years is he's usually on time and under budget, and of very high quality. And I would say that that's a mark of almost everything that he does. I experienced that personally. I worked with him every 5 years. So David and his team, they make a little bit go a long way. And they've been very, very faithful for many, many years, caring for women and their community. They do a what I would call a job that is unmatched by so many ministries in how they make their dollars stretch, they make their resources stretch. As you've experienced now personally, they've got some of the most high quality individuals, doctors, staff, and volunteers. They're all top-notch people in Romania. Extremely qualified people that God has brought to this ministry. So grateful for that. When I was working and living there every day, I'll confess, I felt like the dumbest person in the room on most days because of the quality and the caliber of people that they have working there. So just a blessing to partner with them. I thank each and every one of you who have been able to watch for your partnership and your participation. This is in many ways your clinic as well. You've helped make this possible. You are able to bear fruit from every single interaction and every ministry encounter that they have there in that clinic. So with that, I just want to ask if the team or if Dr. David has anything they want to say in closing.
I want to thank you so much for waking up with your eyes in Romania. And I hope you will still keep them here. And not only your eyes, but I hope and pray for your hearts. And if your hearts are here, that's everything is perfect. We can go for a long time serving our God that deserve all the honor in the universe. Thank you so much, and thanks every one of you for joining me and showing people there that we are serious about what we are doing, and we honor God every day. Thank you.
Thank you.
God bless.
On behalf of the board of HealthBridge Global, on behalf of the team there at Clinica Provita in Romania, I want to thank each and every one of you for getting on this call. Like I said at the beginning, it has been recorded. And within a couple of days, I will shave off the beginning where we were doing all the technical testing, and I will send out a copy of this recording along with a brand new video that we just had made about the next phase of Provita's work, Life Medical Center. So look for that in a couple of days. Please feel free to share that with whoever God would lead you to share it with. This is a grassroots effort. This is a combination of many people's hearts, financial contribution of gifts and talents that make this possible. So again, thank you for joining us this morning. So glad that each and every one of you were able to be on the call. Look for the recording that we're going to send out probably midweek. God bless each and every one of you. Thank you to those of you who got up early. Thank you to the Romanian team. You guys are a blessing. Have a great rest of the day.
Mai bine ne supoartă.
Hey, Brian
Slăvit Domnul!
Hello.
How you been?
Hi, Dave. Bye, Carmen, and everybody else.
And
Good to see you.
So good to see you. Yes.
Bye.